Hello and welcome back to 10-Minute English Lessons with Alex. This is episode number 25. In today's video, we are going to talk about the two conjunctions, while and when. We will talk about the similarities between the two and the differences. By the end of this video, you will understand what is different about while and when, and what is the same about while and when. Also, how to use it correctly in a sentence. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button below, as well as the thumbs up button. That way you get all of the new videos as soon as they come out. Also, please share this video and this channel with friends and family who are also studying English. I promise it will help them as well. All right, without any further ado, let's get over to the classroom and start with today's video. Okay guys, let's get right over to the chalkboard and start today's lesson. I totally understand that both of these conjunctions, while and when, can be very confusing in knowing which one to use in which situation. And I know a lot of you guys out there are probably saying, come on Alex, aren't they the same thing? Basically, yes. Basically, both of these words are used when talking about two things that happen at the same time. Basically, that is correct. First, let's look at the conjunction while. The thing that I want you to remember most about the conjunction while is talking about two continuous and simultaneous actions. That's really important to remember. While is talking about two continuous and simultaneous actions. Now, some of you guys might be like, Alex, what the heck is continuous and simultaneous action? Basically, two things that are happening at the same time. That's just one of those grammar words, continuous and simultaneous. But basically, while is talking about two things that are happening at the same time. That's really, really important to remember. So we're going to take a look at a couple examples here. One example is talking about something that is taking place right now, and another example is talking about something that took place in the past. But please, please, please remember, when you're using the conjunction while, keep in mind that you're talking about two continuous and simultaneous actions. Now let's look at this first one here. I am preparing dinner now in my kitchen while my dog is licking his paw next to me. I am preparing dinner now in my kitchen while my dog is licking his paws next to me. So again, we're talking about two actions that are happening continuously at the same time. Okay? Now let's take a look at two actions that are happening simultaneously in the past. For example, last week for hours, my friend was packing boxes while I was taping and labeling those boxes. Let's take a look at that one more time. Last week, for hours, my friend was packing boxes while I was taping and labeling those boxes. So the first example there, we're talking about two actions that are happening continuously, simultaneously at the same time in the present, right now. So I am preparing dinner right now while my dog is licking his paw right now in the present. In the second example, last week for hours, my friend was packing boxes while I was taping labels on those boxes. So we're talking about something that happened last week. But in both of these examples, you have two actions that are happening at the same time simultaneously. So two actions happen at the same time. That's really, really, really important to remember. When you use the conjunction while, I'll say this one more time. When you use the conjunction while, you're talking about two actions that are happening at the same time. Also, some of you might have noticed there was something a little special about the verbs in these sentences, and you are 100% correct. Both of these sentences, both of the verbs in these sentences, they were using ing connecting to the verbs. Now you know that when you connect an ing to a verb, you're changing it into a noun by using a gerund or gerund, however you want to pronounce it. But when you use a gerund or gerund, when you take a verb and add ing, you're changing it into a noun. So when you're talking about two actions happening at the same time, you're changing that verb into a noun by adding ing. That is a very important point to keep in mind. Now let's take a look at the conjunction when. Now when you're using the conjunction when, you're talking about two single and simultaneous actions that are happening close together, but maybe not at the same time, but very close together. Now let me give you some examples here. The first example, my wife screamed when the spider crawled next to her. Okay? One more time. My wife screamed when the spider crawled next to her. Do you see something different about the verbs there? Now in this example, first the spider crawled next to my wife and then she immediately screamed. So you see, these two actions are not happening at the same time. They're close to each other, but they're not at the same time. This is the difference between while and when. When you look at that conjunction when, you're looking at two actions that are happening close to each other, but not at the same time. All right, let's take a look at another example. In the summertime, when I get home from work, I drink a cold glass of iced tea. Okay? In the summertime, when I get home from work, I drink a cold glass of iced tea. In this example, again, first I get home from work, then I drink a cold glass of iced tea. In that first example, first the spider crawled next to my wife, then she screamed. So you see, these two actions are not at the same time. They're a little bit separate. So first this happens, then this happens. But in the conjunction while, both actions are happening at the same time. That is a really important point to remember, and that is what's different about these two conjunctions. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you guys out there are saying, okay, Alex, is that the only difference between these two conjunctions? Are there any other time they're different? Yes, especially the conjunction when. When is a conjunction that can be used when you're talking about age or time. For example, Pam graduated from college when she was 22 years old. So this is a little bit different from the two examples I gave you before, because here when is talking about an age. So this one is a little bit different. But I think a lot of you probably already understand how to use when talking about an age. Okay, there's one last point that I want to talk about. I know a lot of you guys are asking, hey Alex, are these two interchangeable in a sentence? Yes, but I will show you why. Let's take a look at two examples here. The first one, he called when I was sleeping. In the second example, he called while I was sleeping. Basically, these are the same. They're almost no different. Basically, these two are interchangeable if you follow one rule. If the action comes after the conjunction, it does not matter. So the action is was sleeping. So as long as the conjunction comes before the action, it doesn't matter. Another example, she got into an accident while she was driving home. Or she got into an accident when she was driving home. The action here is driving home. As long as the when and the while is before the action, it doesn't really change. I know that might be a little bit confusing, but I promise the more you practice this, the easier it will become. It might be a good idea to maybe watch this video a couple times so you really do get a better understanding. But there's three important points I want to leave you with. If you're using the conjunction while and you're talking about two actions happen at the same time, remember you need to have that ing on the verb. That was really important. For example, I am preparing dinner now in my kitchen while my dog is licking his paws. So in that example, you have two actions happening at the exact same time. In that example, you will use while. In that second example, my wife screamed when the spider crawled next to her. Now remember, my wife screamed because the spider crawled next to her. So those two actions are a little bit different apart. And the third point, as long as the action happens after you use the conjunction while or when, it doesn't matter. For example, he called when I was sleeping. He called while I was sleeping. As long as the action happens after the conjunction, you are fine. Okay, I hope I answered the question that many of you guys asked me. What is the difference between while and when? I hope that was clear. If you do have any questions, please make sure you ask those questions in the comments below. Until next time I see you, aloha.